You just salted your food without thinking about it, maybe fries, maybe eggs. A quick shake, barely a thought. But the real answer of why you did that is far stranger than you think. Salt is not a flavor. Not really. Your body cannot make sodium on its own. It has to come from somewhere else. Every cell in you, every nerve signal, every heartbeat depends on it. So somewhere in your ancestry, a craving had to appear. A craving strong enough to send people walking for miles toward a taste that, on its own, isn't even sweet or comforting. Why would evolution build that kind of hunger? To answer that, you have to go back further than farming. Further than fire, even. Back to a body that first climbed out of the ocean. Every animal with blood needs sodium to survive. Nerve cells fire using a sodium-potassium pump, a tiny biological switch that lets electrical signals move through your body. No sodium, no signal. No signal, no movement, no thought, no heartbeat. The physiologist Derek Denton spent decades studying this exact craving in his research on what he called the instinct for salt. He found that animals across dozens of species, from goats to elephants, will travel extraordinary distances to reach a mineral deposit. Not because they were taught to, because something ancient in the brain demands it. Early humans inherited that same wiring. For millions of years, that wasn't a problem. Meat is naturally salty. Blood is salty. Early hominins eating animals, marrow, and organs were already getting enough sodium without trying. The craving stayed quiet because the diet already answered it. Then something changed. Around 10,000 years ago, humans began farming. Grains, vegetables, plant-based diets low in natural sodium. Suddenly, the ancient hunger that used to be satisfied by eating meat had nothing to answer it. And that is the moment salt stopped being incidental and became a target. A resource. Something worth digging for, boiling for, trading for. Look at Hallstatt, in what is now Austria. Around 3,000 years ago, people were already tunneling deep into a mountain, chasing veins of rock salt with bronze picks. Entire communities grew around it. Miners left behind tools, shoes, even lunch bags, preserved for thousands of years by the salt itself. This wasn't a side hustle. It was one of the first true industries in human history. And it happened because a craving, older than agriculture, ran headfirst into a diet that could no longer satisfy it. On the other side of the world, near Zhongba in China, archaeologists led by researchers including Li Liu uncovered evidence of salt production going back thousands of years, with pottery specifically shaped for boiling brine down into usable crystals. Two civilizations, no contact with each other, arriving at the same obsession. That's not a coincidence. That's biology forcing culture's hand. Here's the twist. You'd expect that once humans figured out how to get salt, the craving would fade. It didn't. If anything, it got stronger. Studies on populations that still eat almost no processed food, like isolated groups in the Amazon, show blood pressure and sodium levels dramatically lower than modern populations, yet the drive to seek out salty taste when it's available doesn't disappear. It's still there, waiting, because your brain doesn't know the difference between 3,000 years ago and today. It doesn't know that salt is sitting in a shaker on every table in the world now. It still reacts like salt is rare, like it's precious, like finding it might be the difference between a working nervous system and a failing one. That's why salt became more than nutrition. It became currency, literally. Roman soldiers were partly paid in salt, which is where the word salary comes from. Trade routes formed around it. Wars were fought over it. Entire cities like Salzburg built their names and their wealth on it. All of that stacked on top of a hunger that started as a simple biological necessity for a nerve cell to fire correctly. And here's where it gets stranger still. Your taste buds only recognize salt because detecting sodium was at some point a survival advantage. The people who could taste it, who craved it, who went looking for it when their bodies were running low, were the ones who kept their nervous systems functioning. The ones who didn't crave it, who didn't notice the deficiency, simply faded out of the gene pool over enough generations. What you feel as a simple preference for salty food is actually the surviving echo of thousands of years of selection pressure. You didn't choose to like salt. Your ancestors' bodies chose it for you, one generation at a time. So why do modern humans eat far more salt than their bodies actually need? Public health researchers have tracked this for decades, most notably through the large-scale InterSalt study, conducted across dozens of populations worldwide, which found that societies with easy year-round access to salt consistently consume several times more than physiological necessity requires. The ancient hunger never recalibrated. It still fires exactly the way it did when salt was scarce and finding it meant survival. Except now it's sitting next to a fast food register or built into almost every packaged product on a grocery shelf. The craving is doing exactly what it evolved to do. It just has no idea the world around it changed. Think about that the next time you reach for a shaker without thinking. That motion, so automatic it barely registers, is one of the oldest instincts left in your body. Older than language, older than fire in a way, because the need for sodium predates even the nervous systems that would one day learn to control fire. It survived the shift from ocean to land. It survived the shift from hunting to farming. It survived empires, wars, and the invention of refrigeration. It's strange to think that something as ordinary as a pinch of salt carries that much history in it. Stranger still that your body still treats it like it's rare, even when it's the least rare thing on your table. Maybe that's the real lesson buried in all of this. Some of the things you do without thinking, the habits that feel like nothing at all, aren't really about the present moment. They're fossils, echoes of a need that used to matter enormously, still playing out on a stage that no longer needs them the same way. So tonight, when you salt your food without a second thought, know what's actually happening. Somewhere behind that motion is a hunger built over millions of years, still convinced it's protecting you.